Welcome students. Welcome to my second part of the video. Topic Europe and India Standard 8. Now, as we all have studied in the previous video, the subtopics were the period of Renaissance. And in this period of Renaissance, we saw during this period there was reformation in the religious reform movement. There were several geographical discoveries were laid, and hence this foundation was called as a modern era. Hence this period was known as the age of Renaissance. We also saw during the Renaissance period, the field of art, architecture, philosophy, they all underwent a lot of changes. Humanistic approach was there. Previously it was religious approach. Now from religious approach they went to humanistic approach. And all during the reform movement, the human life was given due importance. The art, the literature depicts sentiments and the emotions of human being. After the invention of printing press, the new ideas and concept reached to all sections of the society. Then we have also learned religious reforms. There were Catholic priests who were exploiting people in the name of religion. The Bible was in Latin language, and Latin language was not the language of the common people. Only few elite class of people were knowing Latin. And especially the priests, they were knowing the language of Latin. And we saw how the religious movement took place, where there was a reformer who brought religious reform movement, Martin Luther, who himself was a priest, a German monk. He brought revolution in religious reform movement. We also saw geographical discoveries. Everybody was interested to discover India. Bartholomew Dias, Portuguese sailor, he went in search of India, but ultimately he landed in Africa, which is now we all call as Cape of Good Hope. In 1492, Christopher Columbus, he went towards west and he reached to the continent of America. Nowadays we call USA, United States of America. In 1498, Portuguese sailor Vasco da Gama managed to sail past the Cape of Good Hope and reached India. He reached Indian coast in Calicut. Then we found there was intellectual revolution. We also found revolution in the political sphere. Under that we saw the American War of Independence and the French Revolution. And the French Revolution gave three values to the world: liberty, equality, and fraternity. And in the world history, among the political revolution, the American War of Independence and the French Revolution were given important place. They gave the world a lesson not to bear injustice. You have to fight against injustice to get the justice. We also saw Industrial Revolution, where all the cottage industries which were there, in place of those cottage industries, it was replaced by big factories. The production, which was very slow due to Industrial Revolution, the production increased its pace and they could produce more in lesser time. And England was considered to be the cradle of Industrial Revolution. And later on from there, it went on spreading towards the west in Germany, in France, and several other countries. And England enjoyed industrial prosperity and came to be described as world factory. Now we will see what are the other effects of these industrial revolution. Now the other effect is very simple. There was a rise of capitalism. With the discovery of new sea routes, began a new era of trade between Europe and Asia. Many traders came forward to trade with Eastern countries through the sea route. It was not easy to carry out trade single-handedly, hence the traders came together and started trade. Thus, there was a rise of many trading companies. One such company was East India Company. Trade with Oriental countries was very profitable and responsible for economic prosperity. Hence, European rulers started giving military protection and trade and concession of these trading companies. This led to accumulation of wealth in Europe. This property was used in the form of capital for trade and commerce, which led to the rise of capitalist economic system in Europe. Thus, it gave rise to capitalism. Now, we are very familiar with the term called colonialism. What do you mean by colonialism? Colonialism means country exploiting a big country, exploiting the smaller country. Or colonialism means one country exploiting other country by making it into a colony. A powerful country on the basis of economy or economic and military strength occupies another region and establishes its political supremacy. This is known as colonialism. This tendency of colonialism led to the rise of imperialism among the economic system in Europe. What is imperialism? Now, when I say imperialism means the system in which powerful country controls the countries by establishing overall domination and establishing many colonies. Many countries from Asia and African continent was a prey to this imperialist aspiration of the European nations. The best example is Britishers coming to India, that we are going to learn in detail now. The Britishers came to India with the intention of trade, and when they saw that we were not united, they started exploiting us politically, and thus they came with the intention of trade. They became a ruler. Now, my dear students, we will see now how imperialism has helped the British East India Company to establish their rule in India. There were competition among the European countries for acquiring trade monopoly in India. The British established British East India Company in 1600 AD and carried out trade in India. This company took permission from Emperor Jahangir and established their first factory in Surat. The trade between India and England carried out through this company. Now, what has happened? When the Britishers started extracting profit from India, there were other European countries who was a strong competitor of the Britishers came to India with the intention of trade. When they came to India with the intention of trade, they had a conflict with Britishers. So there was a struggle between English and the French. England and France were the rivals in the competition for trade in India. Due to this, there were 3 wars fought between England and France. In the Third Carnatic War, England finally defeated France. Therefore, now there was no strong European competitor for British East India Company in India. Now, since there was no strong competitor, what did they do? They first established their rule in Bengal. Now, why did they take Bengal? Very simple. Bengal was a province which was the most prosperous province in India. In 1756 AD, Sirajuddaula became the Nawab of Bengal. In 1756 AD, Sirajuddaula became the Nawab of Bengal. East India Company officers misused the trade concessions obtained from the Mughal Emperor in Bengal province. The England built fortification around the factory at Kolkata without the permission of the Nawab. Hence, Sirajuddaula captured the factory at Kolkata. This created discontent in England. Robert Clive diplomatically bribed Mir Jafar, who was the commander-in-chief of Nawab army. He promised Mir Jafar that he will be given the title of Nawab after his king will be defeated. So, at the Battle of Plassey in 1757, under the leadership of Mir Jafar, the Nawab army went ahead to fight with the Britishers. But here we could see that Mir Jafar, who was the commander-in-chief, did not give command to the army, and thus we could see Sirajuddaula was defeated and Mir Jafar was given the throne. When Mir Jafar was given the throne, my dear students, he became the next Nawab. He started interfering with the Britishers. Instead of supporting them, he started protesting against the Britishers. So Britishers removed Mir Jafar and made his son-in-law Mir Qasim the next Nawab. And as Mir Qasim, he was a very shrewd king or shrewd Nawab. He tried to put restrictions on the illegal trade of the Britishers. Hence, once again, Mir Qasim was removed and Mir Jafar was made the next Nawab of Bengal. When Mir Jafar was removed from his throne, it was a great insult for him. He wanted to restrict the activities of Britishers in Bengal. So what did he do? He brought his allies, Shuhajudawla, the Nawab of Ayodhya, and the Mughal Emperor Shah Alam. He formed alliance and he went against the British rulers. In 1764 AD, the Battle of Buxar was fought in Bihar. After this battle, we find that Britishers fought bravely against these three allies and they were defeated, and Britishers or the British East India Company got the right to collect revenue from Bengal province as per the territory or as per the Treaty of Allahabad. In this matter, the foundation of the British rule in India was laid in Bengal. Now I would like to mention about British entering into conflict with Mysore. Hyder Ali, the father of Tipu Sultan. Hyder Ali was a king of Mysore. He was controlling Mysore. After the death of Hyder Ali, Tipu Sultan became the next ruler of Mysore. He tried his best fighting against the Britishers. At the end, Tipu Sultan died in the Battle of Srirangapatnam in 1799. In this manner, the British took control over Mysore territory. Now, Britishers were afraid of Russians, that they would come from Sindh and they would control the Indian territory. So, to strengthen the British power in India, the English turned their attention towards northwest frontier. They feared that Russia might attack India through Afghanistan, and hence English started establishing their influence over Afghanistan. The route towards Afghanistan went through Sindh. The British understood the importance of Sindh, hence captured the Sindh from the peace-loving Nawabs in the year 1843. Now, I would like to say how the Sikh power came in the hands of the Britishers. In the beginning of 19th century, the power in Punjab was in the hands of Ranjit Singh Ji. After the death of Ranjit Singh Ji, his minor son Dilip Singh came to the throne on his behalf. His mother, Queen Jinda, looked after the state affair but could not keep control over the officers because these officers were jealous because she was a woman and she was controlling this men lot. Dilip Singh was a minor, so on behalf of the minor Queen Jinda, she looked after the affairs of the state. Taking advantage of this situation, Britishers bribed some of the Sikh Sardars. The Sikh community thought that the British will attack Punjab and hence they launched attack on the Britishers. In the first Anglo-Sikh war, the Sikhs were defeated, but still Dilip Singh remained on the throne. But the growing impact over Punjab, Britishers over Punjab, was not acceptable to the Sikh. The freedom-loving Sikh, Mool Raj, the officer of Multan, revolted against English. Thousands of Sikh soldiers participated in the war against the Britishers. In the Second War, the Sikh had to face the defeat again. Finally, in the year 1849, the Britishers captured entire Punjab. Thus, I would like to conclude this lesson by saying that they took over Bengal with the Treaty of Allahabad. They captured Mysore first. They were not able to fight with Hyder Ali, but later on, defeating Tipu Sultan in the Battle of Srirangapatnam, they took control over Mysore. They took control over Sindh, and finally, they took over Punjab. Almost half of India was under their control. But there was a strong power which were called as Marathas. These Marathas were the important strong rulers in India. Now we will see that in the next lesson, how did the Britishers strengthen their foundation of rule in India by defeating the Marathas? That we're going to study in the next chapter. Thank you, students.